Okay.
So, einen schönen guten Morgen zusammen aus Stuttgart. Können Sie mich sehen und hören? Dürfte ich ein Lebenszeichen erhalten? Oh, ich glaube, Sie sind alle stumm geschaltet im Augenblick. Gern auch kurz im Chat einfach, ob technisch alles in Ordnung ist. Zu sehen und zu hören. Danke, liebe Ulrike. Super, es sind auch schon fast alle da. Wir warten noch auf einen der Referenten. Giovanni ist noch nicht da. Da gibt es ja gerade noch ein kleines technisches Problem, aber ich denke mal, in einer Minute haben wir das gelöst. Und in der Zwischenzeit sind auch schon fast alle jetzt im Meeting Room versammelt. Und ja, ich bitte die Kollegen in Italien, die das Meeting hier hosten, uns einfach kurz Bescheid zu geben, sobald wir dann auch offiziell starten können. Simona, das ist okay. Ihr sagt einfach, wann es losgehen kann.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So please let us have a couple of minutes to wait for our colleague in Riyadh who is joining us, and then we will start.
Ja, vielleicht können wir die Zeit schon ein bisschen nutzen für eine ganz kurze Begrüßung seitens der Gesamtmasche. Ich bin Silvia Jungbauer von der Gesamtmasche. Ich freue mich sehr, dass Sie hier ja auch auf eine sehr kurzfristige Einladung hin doch zahlreich im Meeting erschienen sind. Ich denke, es ist ein sehr interessantes Thema, mit dem wir uns heute befassen, den Markt Saudi-Arabien und ja, ja, mit Anklängen auch mit der gesamten Golfregion. Ich freue mich sehr, dass die Kollegen von der Firma Honegger bereit sind, heute uns ja, einen Einblick in den Markt mit Schwerpunkt Mode zu geben. Uns auch zu erzählen von dem Projekt, das Sie in diesem Jahr starten. Es soll im Oktober erstmals eine Modemesse im Rahmen der Saudi Lifestyle Week geben, die Sie auf die Beine stellen. Und dazu werden Sie uns heute auch ein paar Takte erzählen. Es ist ein sehr spannendes Marktumfeld mit sehr stabilen, sehr hohen Wachstumsraten, die Saudi-Arabien in den letzten Jahren verzeichnet hat, und die Prognosen sind gut. Das ist für uns natürlich sehr, sehr interessant. Ja, solche Wachstumsmärkte, die finden wir ja nicht gerade an jeder Ecke, und die können wir vor allen Dingen im Moment sehr, sehr gut brauchen. Ich denke, es ist insgesamt ein großes Interesse in der Branche da, hierzu mehr zu erfahren. Und ich würde dann auch gleich an die Kollegen von Honegger übergeben. Die Präsentation wird in englischer Sprache stattfinden. Am Schluss haben wir noch Zeit eingeplant, damit Sie Fragen stellen können zur Präsentation und darüber hinaus. Sprache ist hier, wie gesagt, Englisch. Wenn Sie mögen, können Sie Ihre Fragen aber auch in deutscher Sprache stellen. Das wird dann von Simona Cantoni übersetzt, die auch Deutsch spricht. Und
Thank you, Silvia, for your kind introduction. We would like to thank you for give us this special chance to share with all this huge audience that we are glad to host in this webinar today, talking about Saudi Arabia and talking about the opportunity given to the European company to come to the kingdom through our trade show. Just a few sentences about our company. I'm Enrico Fazola. I'm the marketing director of Honegger company. Here he is represented by our general manager, Simona Cantoni, our international fashion sales manager, Georgia, and our IT guardian angel, Christian, that support us in organize all things. And last but not least, is recently joined us from Riyadh, our colleague based in Riyadh, Giovanni Franciosi. So here is our team. We are located in Milan, and Giovanni, that is now online, is based
Hello,
on
good
Riyadh.
morning.
He cooperates with us in this project. Honegger company is, let me say, the major private player in the exhibition industry based in Italy. We started our activities in 1970, and the first trade show that we represent in Italy was a very famous German fashion show that was organized by Igedo company. So our beginning was in fashion, and we go on in 5 decades to work in fashion and also all the other sector, because we are from one company of our holding. We represent Messe Düsseldorf in Italy for all the trade show organized in Düsseldorf and all over the world. We have another company that is the company that replicate the same business model through the main European countries. So we have a branch in Paris, in Düsseldorf, and in London. So we collect the European company and we bring the European company to the overseas trade show. We represent mainly more than 150 trade shows all over the world in all the sectors, coming from industrial machinery, pass through medical devices, and then lifestyle, so design, fashion, sportswear, shoes, and textile. 2 years ago, we understand that there was something very urgent in Saudi Arabia in terms of all the new exhibition that the kingdom is going to approach in order to create in Riyadh the new huge platform for the international B2B events. And one of, let me say, the prior sector they ask us is lifestyle, so fashion, design, and sportswear, because they would like, of course, the distribution system is going to change and grow really fast and really recently. So they need, let me say, to create a good meeting point in terms of B2B trade show for these related sectors. And for that reason, we establish a strong joint venture with the first trade show organizer in the kingdom, that is a Riyadh Exhibition Company. Riyadh Exhibition Company, the major stakeholder is the royal family, and in that part of the world is a crucial information because, of course, through this, let me say, high connection, we get the patronage of Ministry of Culture. And Ministry of Culture is the ministry inside the kingdom on top of Fashion Commission and Design Commission, and as well the Ministry of Entertainment. The Ministry of Entertainment is the ministry in charge to decide which kind of exhibition bring in the kingdom and which kind of organizer choose for organize this trade show. So for that reason, it's important to explain to you which is, let me say, the structure behind this project, just to let you know that, of course, we work in, let me say, in the right way to let grow an international event with all, let me say, the support, locally speaking, but also for what concerns the international side. Are already on board all the international European Fashion Federation from Italy, from Spain, from Portugal, from France, from Germany, and from UK. So we bring together all the international federation to create, let me say, the first B2B fashion trade show in that part of the world, because looking at the past, there are in other country of the GCC area, there was other fashion, let me say, a show, fashion exhibition, but with a different format, because in that part of the world, the let me say fashion event are more related to VIP leisure events. So usually they have a fashion catwalk, a private VIP dinner, and just some showcase with product. This is not our format. The Ministry of Culture, considering our 50 years experience in B2B fashion trade show organizing, asked us to bring the same format that we are used to work in the, let me say, all the Western country, and bring this format to the kingdom. So we would, let me say, replicate the same format that we are used to participate, that we are used to attend. So there will be all the international producer together with some local producer that will meet all, let me say, the player coming from the fashion distribution field. So this is just to give you a background about this project. I would like to share with you our presentation so we can go directly on the topic. So just let me put it this way. So talking about why Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, comparing with all the other countries of the GCC area and all the Middle East area in general, we are talking about the bigger country in the Western Asia. The size of this country is 2.15 million of square kilometers. The population is composed by 36 million of resident people, and the 90% of these 36 million people is Arabic. And this is quite new if we benchmark with the other country of Middle East in which we are we are used to work in some way, because of course Emirates has smaller, Qatar is smaller, Bahrain is smaller, and also the 80% of the resident people in all the other country of GCC area are expat. In Saudi Arabia, the 90% is Saudi people. Saudi people, of course, we are talking about a multi-layer society. That means that we have several kind of target group in terms of power of buying, taste, and also anographic, let me say, segmentation. Another important things to consider is that 70% of this population is under 30. So we are talking about a young target that is looking for the Western habits, the Western brands with a particular attention. We are approaching a country in which in the last year we see that let me say that the economy experienced a very interesting growth rate, and more they are, let me say, create an economy that is not anymore based 100% on oil and gas, but they are in integrating several sectors inside. And of course, all this change that the kingdom is going to see is, let me say, under the huge project driven by the kingdom, that is Saudi 2030, Saudi Vision 2030, is of course a huge project that involves several kind of pillars from, let me say, urbanistic point of view, huge project in terms of huge infrastructure, creating some, let me say, and let's develop some new sector in the kingdom. So is a project that started in 2016, and we are quite, let me say, surprised in the positive sense that all the timeline of this project until today has been respected. Because, of course, we are talking about a country that is going to change his king, is going to change really, really fast their habits. But they have let me say, the power of buying, the major power of buying in the world. So it could be very helpful in reaching, let me say, the goal of this ambitious project. Another topic really, really interesting about, let me say, the resident people is that the average income of each Arabic person is around 4,400 euro per month. And is quite interesting comparing with the average income of all the other European countries. Another important things to underline is that once covered all the necessary cost, each Arabic resident has a sort of surplus of budget that come from 15 until to 18,000 US dollar per person to spend, let me say, in the leisure activities. Until 5 or 6 years ago, the only way to gratificate themselves was related to the luxury goods. So for that reason, all the global luxury brands are already well established in the kingdom through several mono-brand stores, from jewelry to accessories and garment and so on. But more recently, of course, the main goal of Vision 2030 program is create a new opportunity to improve the quality of life of resident people in their own kingdom. For that reason, we see that there are a huge project to develop a lot of touristic area from the seaside to the mountainside. There is a huge attention to all the well-being activities, so all the venue and all the sports structure are more and more, let me say, diffused in the kingdom. Also for what concern entertainment, we saw in the last few years that the kingdom is hosting more and more all the sports racing and all the international events related to sport. And also, it could be quite new, but they are opening also the door to all the huge concert and so on. So resident people now has, let me say, more option to gratificate themselves, spending money not only in garment with the grief, but they have, let me say, to choose which money allocate in several things that improve their quality of life. For that reason, they are less, let me say, used to spend all the budget in the grief, but they need, of course, to dress up. And the first player that realized that something was changing in the fashion distribution system in the kingdom was the fast fashion. Fast fashion understand that there was a huge opportunity, and then all the huge player, the global player of fast fashion coming from Zara, H&M, Mango, Massimo Dutti, and so on, they they went to the kingdom and they opened several doors. In a city like Riyadh, in which there are several shopping malls, each shopping mall has, let me say, a group of brands and content related to a specific target group. But of course, fast fashion, let me say, could be diffused in the same way to all the several targets. For that reason, H&M or Zara have more than 20 doors just in Riyadh City. But at the moment, there is, let me say, a gap to fill in the fashion distribution system because Saudi people is looking for different kind of brand with good quality, good style, but not necessarily huge brand. They are interested in product, in quality, in style, and not anymore just on brand. And for that reason, we will share with you some recent case history about all the new multi-brand store that are going to develop in the good way in this moment in the kingdom. As I mentioned to you before, we are talking about a multi-layer target society. So multi-brand can reflect this phenomenon because we have, of course, a multi-brand shop with several kind of selection of brands in terms of brands, products, style, and price. And this is very, very interesting. So we can go on. I mentioned already to you about Vision 2030 and the impact of this huge project on several pillars that are going to develop several sectors in the kingdom. Coming back to fashion, just to give you some figures, relevant figures, Saudi Arabia fashion market is projected to reach nearly 60 billion of US dollar within the end of 2025. So that means there are multiple opportunities existing for export fashion items, leather goods, accessories, footwear, and sport-related apparel from Europe into the Saudi market. It consists also is a huge opportunity for the existing local manufacturers because another point that, let me say, make the difference benchmarking with all the other countries in that part of the world is that Saudi Arabia is the only country in which is going to develop more and more a local production in terms of local designer and local manufacturer in fashion, sports fashion, and athleisure. How is reflected in the distribution system this huge figure? We are talking about 962,000 square meter of retail space that is developed, that is already developed, that is going to grow up in the next years, and at the main urban centers of the kingdom. So first Riyadh, then Jeddah, Mecca, and Medina. How is composed the market? At the moment, we see that the 50% of this huge amount realized in the fashion market is occupied by leather goods that include shoes, leather accessories, and so on. Second position is occupied by women apparel and then textile, because there is a huge market for textile at the moment as well, because as I mentioned to you before, there are local manufacturers, local brands that are looking for international and European standards of quality in terms of fashion textile. And then men apparel, kids, accessories, and sportswear. Here we would like to share with you, let me say, a contemporary pictures about how is going to develop the fashion distribution field, putting our attention especially on the several categories of multi-brand stores and several categories of shopping mall that correspond mainly to our street of shopping. Of course, for the weather in that part of the world, the street of shopping that we are used to see in our Western cities are replicated through this huge shopping mall that collect inside not only shop, but also restaurant, entertainment, and let me say the collection is always driven by a specific target group. So I would like to pass the tone to our colleague Giovanni Franciosi for this specific topic because he came from a heavy experience in fashion distribution, internationally speaking, and now is based in Riyadh, working in the fashion distribution field since 3 years. So Giovanni can give us, let me say, an updated pictures about how is going on in this specific field in the kingdom at the moment. So please, Giovanni, go on with the presentation.
Thank you, Enrico. Good morning from Riyadh. We will go through the charts. We will continue the presentation and giving you an overview of the current updated retail scenario in Riyadh. Since retail fashion is a very important part of the Vision 2030 project, because of course the retail fashion is going to be like a major, together with the tourism and with the open market, is going to be like a major force in the diversification from oil and gas, which is basically the goal of Vision 2030. And particularly, real estate and retail fashion in Riyadh has gone through a very fast acceleration, especially after pandemic. If you think that Vision 2030 was launched in 2015, 2016. So the biggest acceleration was, of course, like a first phase after pandemic. So from 2020 to 2025. And now we are in the second phase of the Vision 2030, which will be the core of the implementation of all the giga projects in KSA in general and in Riyadh in particular, from here to 2030, going to the 2029 Asian Winter Olympic Games, and wrapping up with the 2030 Expo that will be held in Riyadh. So we are really in the right time of the implementation of all the projects, and the retail fashion is following suit, because all the major retail changes at a fast pace, again, at a fast pace of growth, again, are happening now, and are going to happen from here to 2030. So the current scenario in Riyadh, it's basically, as Enrico mentioned prior, about malls, because as you know, Riyadh and Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, it's like a mall-driven, has got a mall-driven retail fashion scenario because of the weather. Even if in Riyadh we have winter months as well, so the temperature can go down to 5 or 7 degrees in the winter. So that's why even also some stores are being open recently on the streets. But still, the mall are the major driving force when it comes to retail. And so we will introduce some malls in the old city of Riyadh, which are malls in Riyadh Landmark that were existing also before pandemic. So that has already like 15 or 20 years, but are still landmarks like Al Faisalia Mall and like Kingdom Center. I'm not sure if some of you are familiar with Riyadh in some kind of way, but these are malls that are already landmarks here in the city. And then there are some new malls that are in new and emerging neighborhoods in the north of Riyadh, because Riyadh is experiencing, as any other international metropole, of an expansion outside the city center, and more like in new and affluent neighborhoods and communities. In chart 6, we are describing Harvey Nichols, which is currently the only luxury so far department store in Riyadh. Other will follow in new malls that are about to be inaugurated by 2027. But so far, Harvey Nichols is the luxury department store existing in Riyadh, and it is located in Al Faisalia Mall, which is one of the landmarks that I was talking about earlier. Continuing with the chart 7, we are on a Westerly, that is a local department store. It is owned by Al Malki, which is one of the major retail distribution company in KSA. And Westerly, it's a bit like Harvey Nichols. It is the little sister, we could say, of Harvey Nichols, because it's also carrying international brands and accessories with the average prices that are modulated around more or less Harvey Nichols average prices. Rubaiyat in the following chart, it's the historical department store of KSA, the first one already in the 80s, distributing international brands from LVMH, Kering, and Richemont. Even if now all of these major companies are retaining their brands and are distributing their brands in an autonomous way, Rubaiyat still is worth mentioning. Department store in the 2 flagships in Riyadh and in Jeddah, with average prices, as you can see, medium high when it comes to clothing, footwear, handbags, and accessories. Muaz in the chart 9 is the new addition in the ultra luxury sector, because it's a very high-end department store. It is Saudi owned by the PIF, by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, and it is positioned even higher than Harvey Nichols, because its goal is to become the Selfridges of Saudi Arabia, carrying mostly couture brands, both international and both local, as you can probably see from the prices that are indicated here in the charts. But we don't just think at Saudi Arabia as an ultra luxury, because of course there is a wealth. There are a lot of HNWI consumers in Saudi Arabia, but also there are 2 factors that differentiate Saudi Arabia from the other GCC countries, that are demographic and the middle class. Demographic, already Enrico mentioned prior that the demographic it's really indeed a factor that is differentiating Saudi Arabia from any other. It's like no other. It's like no other countries, because 60–70% are below 30s. So this is a differentiating point, but also the middle class, because there's a rising middle class in Saudi Arabia. So don't just think of Saudi Arabia like a wealthy, like an ultra wealthy country, because there's a middle class of aspirational clients that are pushing and that are rising, and that they have an income to spend and to consume. So that's why we are mentioning here Al Gharawi in the chart 10. That is a multi-brand store that is going to serve the middle class. And this is not the only one, because this is just like the peak of the iceberg, because there are other, like Kamal Osman, like Al Bandar, like Al Abdul Karim, that they have their own brands, and then that they're ready to mix their own Saudi brands. So with medium range prices, as you can check here from the chart, with the European and international brands. Because the good thing about the retail here in Saudi Arabia is that they are open, and they really want, because now the open market is a relatively new thing. So they are keen and open to mix and contaminate with the international brands. So the best thing that is happening here, and then I need to highlight to you for your for you to notice, is that they're really open to European brands with a clear DNA, with a clear identity, even with a medium price range. Because as Enrico mentioned, I mean, this is not just about top brands and top tier brands, because maybe some of them are a bit bored, are a bit sick of them, and they prefer to diverse their buying into some more appealing brands in terms of DNA, in terms of creating, and in terms of price points as well. So that's why it's important for your brands to highlight multi-brand stores as Al Gharawi, and also continuing to highlight that most of the multi-brand stores and the concept stores that are that we have here in Riyadh are happy to mix Saudi brands with international brands, because from one point of view, Saudi brands are rising and are pushed by the Fashion Commission under the Ministry of Culture, that they want to highlight under the Saudi 100 Brands Initiative the best local talents and local designers that are spotlight even in fashion weeks, European fashion weeks as Milan and Paris. So Saudi brands are, of course, pushed because they are part of the diversification and to highlight the Saudi awareness on an international scale. But also they understand that Saudi brands need to be mixed and contaminated with international brands in order for both of them, you know, to leverage and to take advantage of both. Because Saudi brands, they understand that they need to have an international awareness. So what is the best thing to do? Like contaminate and being together in the same shelves and in the same racks with international brands. And this is what a store like we create in the chart 11 is doing in a very effective way. So mixing local and international brands with the same price point, with a similar DNA and value proposition. And this is also what Pattern is doing. Going to the chart 12. Pattern is a multi-brand store, is an independent store. It is located in one of the newest and best neighborhood in Riyadh, Laysan Valley. It's an open street neighborhood. So just to mention that it's not just about malls, but it's also about streets, especially for the winter season. And like Pattern, also, if we go to the chart 14, Personage, it's also a multi-brand store, streetwear influenced, mixing local and international brands. Personage is located in another new Riyadh neighborhood, which is worth mentioning, the Jacks district. It's an ex-industrial area that has been gentrified, and that is now really a cool and hip place for the millennial and Gen Z community, Saudi community, because it's a cohort of art galleries, museums, concept stores as Personage, F&B, and nightclubs. So yeah, this is Personage, and also in the charts we have mentioned multi-brand stores operating in the fast fashion areas. So Debenhams and Marks and Spencers, that's I think need no introductions, that are present here in some and different malls. So Debenhams, Marks and Spencer, Centerpoint, along to Zara, H&M, COS, and all the fast fashion described prior. In the chart 16, we present the Urban Lot, another peculiar multi-brand store. This is a concept based on streetwear and streetwear brands, both local and international, with a vintage touch, because it's a store that has the appearance of a thrift store. They are doing garage sales in the weekends, so it's also very engaging stores for the young community, for the millennial and Gen Z community of Riyadh. Back to the mall scenario, as we said, Riyadh, of course, is mall driven. So we need to mention the last two additions in terms of luxury malls, because we already mentioned Al Faisalia Mall and the Kingdom Center. There are the two classic landmarks in the old Riyadh. And now we're about to introduce Via Riyadh Mall in the chart 17. Via Riyadh Mall was inaugurated 2 years ago. It's on the border of the diplomatic quarter, so a very strategic area in Riyadh, connected to two of the most, I would say the two most luxury 5-star hotels in Riyadh, so that guarantee also the best consumers in terms of visitors and diplomatic people of Riyadh, which are the St. Regis and the Ritz-Carlton. Via Riyadh is a luxury mall and has got a premium offering in terms of dining, in terms of retail. You see mentioned some of them, top brands as Dolce & Gabbana, Elisab, Tom Ford, Zegna. So very premium offering. In the chart 18, and also, yes, just let me also add that Via Riyadh has probably the most HRH and HNWI consumers, because they like to go there because of the private shopping that they have and the discreet shopping that they have, because it's not a very huge mall, but it's very classy and district mall. So especially at the nighttime, HRH, they want to go there because they don't want to get noticed and they don't want that much crowd. So that's the reason that VR Mall is so popular beneath the HRH and the royal family consumers. Solitaire Mall, it's the latest addition, was introduced to Riyadh just last month, has got a soft opening, and it's home to many of the best fashion brands. Also here, there's fine dining and also fashion brands, because it got the hard luxury section and the soft luxury section that is called, the soft luxury section is called the Fashion Avenue. So it's pretty much like the Dubai Mall Fashion Avenue. So we can call it as a response to the Dubai Mall in Dubai. So from here to 2029, they are preparing two more major malls due to open from 2027 to 2029, that are the Avenues Mall, built by Al Shaya, a Kuwaitian developer, and Jawarat Riyadh, built by Senomi. And the Senomi is the former Al Hokair, so it's the biggest developer in Saudi. That is also the owner of Nakhil Mall, that you can, as you can see in the chart 21, the Nakhil Mall, which is currently the biggest mall in terms of gross leasable area. And it's home, as you can check from the brand's name section, of really plenty of fashion brands, both luxury and medium price, both fashion and sportswear. In the chart 22, we are mentioning the Riyadh Park Mall, which is also a darling here in Riyadh. It's one of the favorite mall of all. This is also a new mall from after the pandemic, and it's a mall that it's conjugating fine dining and fashion in the best ways possible, and beauty as well. And the fashion section and the sportswear section is really relevant here. You can check all the brands. And so, yeah, also Riyadh Park is definitely worth mentioning.
Thank you, Giovanni. I think that I also insert some chart about textile, but I think that people can go in details about all the figures and so on when they will receive the presentation. Just to give let me say, a contemporary highlights about how is going to develop the secondary market in this moment, talking about the local designer and also the local manufacturer. Just few sentences to orienteering our audience in this way, please. Giovanni, if you want, yes, please.
Yeah, let me just go through the presentation.
Yes, it's not related to the chart. That, yes, it's just I would like to have your opinion, just few sentences about how it's going to develop the secondary market. Thank you.
Yes, sure. So yeah, regarding textile, there's a segmentation in the distribution market here in Saudi Arabia. So there are different channels that we can mention. There are hypermarkets and supermarkets and hypermarkets is a channel to mention. So in like in a hypermarket like Carrefour, like Lulu Market and Panda. So this is one channel to mention. Another channel is specialty stores. So specialty stores, definitely. And then the online that is really relevant for textile here in Saudi Arabia. Regarding the secondary market and the principal players, the key players on the market, we can mention I think we can find them in the chart 11, if I'm not mistaken. We have identified some players already operating, some of them since the 80s and the 90s in the Saudi markets, and that are continuing to be like players in the market. So we can name Satex, so we can name Omar Kassem for textiles. We can mention Safa Al Shams establishment that is in Dammam, in the eastern region of Saudi Arabia, and Bedquarter, that it's a leader factory in bed textile and in home textile.
Thank you, Giovanni. I think because, of course, the most part of our audience is related to the finished product, but it was important to mention that there is as a market for the producer of textile, considering the local manufacturer and the local brand that are going to develop really fast. But of course, there will be all the figures that you can check when we will share the presentation. Coming back to our trade show, considering all the highlights and all this information about how is going on into the fashion distribution system, the landing is our trade show, because at the moment, of course, all the international brands that would like to approach this market can, let me say, has the chance to meet all the players of the fashion ecosystem in Saudi through our trade show, because our trade show will, let me say, put together all the professionals for these sectors. So we are not just talking about a landing market, but we are talking about a fashion ecosystem made by designer, manufacturer, distributor, agent, player in the retail system, also investors. So that could be, let me say, the first meeting point really demanded by the kingdom, because they would like, of course, to have the chance to put together the local fashion ecosystem with the international player. It's important to underline that just the 20% of the potential buyer or of the potential player in the fashion system has the habits to come in Europe, visiting the trade show for textile like Milan Unica and Premier Vision, or the trade show for the finished product like the show that we have in Paris, in London, in Düsseldorf, in Berlin, and Milan. So there is, let me say, an 80% of potential buyers that are waiting for, let me say, has the chance to meet the international brand through our trade show. So just to give you some points about the exhibitor category, for the reason that I mentioned to you before, we are talking about apparel, underwear, beachwear, footwear, and accessories for men, women, and kids. There is also a part dedicated to the textile, and the target visitor is a target visitor that collect together buyer, distributors, and when we are talking about buyer, of course, we are talking about multi-brand store, specialty store, and so on. This is just to give you an idea about the exhibiting solution that we propose to the company. We have, of course, we offer the company the possibility to buy the full package that includes a raw space and the full equipment. About the space. The space could be, let me say, equipped up for garments with the hanging bar and so on, or with shelves for accessories, shoes, and leather goods. We have two kind of solution. This is the basic one, the standard one, and some more precious, that is the premium one. But of course, let me say, the equipment in terms of functionality of the boots, it's quite the same. It's changed just a little bit the structure. Just to give you an idea about prices, for what concerns the standard solution, we are talking about 435 euro per square meters, and we consider usually for garment a minimum size of 12 square meters. If we talk about the premium solution cost is 643 euro per square meters. This is, let me say, the early bird price that is going to expire in a few days, and the regular price are, let me say, increased by the 10% about the price that I mentioned to you. But anyway, application form and also the presentation that we share with you right now will be sent to you via email together with the recorded version of this webinar. And just to give you the idea, for the first edition, we are talking about a trade show, an event that includes three segments. The major segment is fashion, we have sport, and we have design. And we will, let me say, occupy two pavilions, a total net surface about more than 4,500 square meters. And this is, of course, for the first edition. We have foreseen for fashion side, including also the textile segment, to occupy more or less 2,500 square meters. We are quite satisfied, let me say, about the reaction from the market. We already have enrolled company that already enrolled, coming from all the country. Also, for what concerns Germany, we started with shoes and accessories, and we get a lot of interest also from Italian company, Portuguese company, and Spanish company. So it's, let me say, a good result concerning that we are talking about the first edition of a trade show that we are implementing in a very, very new market. So company are going to trust in this event, and we are quite satisfied about the result of our ongoing sales process. The venue of the trade show will be the exhibition venue in the city center. It is a recheck venue, and we will occupy the all 3 and the all 4 for the first edition. So I would like to ask to the audience if there is any question.
There are 2 questions. The first one is, do you have any info on e-commerce growth on Saudi Arabia? And I will give the floor to Giovanni so he can answer to this question, please.
Yeah, sure. So this is about, say again, Simona, please.
Info on e-commerce growth in Saudi Arabia. Do you have info about the growth of e-commerce in Saudi Arabia?
Yes. E-commerce is growing it's growing at a fast pace as the retail. So now we can definitely talk about omni-channel retail. So e-commerce is growing. There are some local and international e-players are working in Middle East now stably, and also there are local e-tailers like Unas, that is more for the luxury sector, and there's Namshi. Namshi is the player for the non-luxury, so for the medium medium range price. So I think that's yes, definitely yes. Beside the independent e-commerce websites from all the retailers, there are also e-players. So e-commerce is playing an active role, also given again the demographic factor. So yeah, so it's bound to be that that e-commerce has got a significant growth.
Thank you very much, Giovanni, also from my side. Thank you, Enrico. This was a very comprehensive and impressive presentation. Really tremendous figures and tremendous growth of retailing opportunities. And I think we got an impression that it is developing in a very diverse manner. I think, first of all, there were other questions in the chat. There is other questions.
Yes, the question is about Sasso, Giovanni. So if you can tell more about Sasso. And then someone is asking if the Amazon is active in Saudi.
Okay, I'll start from the latter. Amazon is here. Amazon is here, and Amazon is in they have a logistic point now, because it was mentioning that there's an economic zone here in Riyadh. It's a recent addition, but there's an economic zone in Riyadh, and inside, and the economic zone is a logistic point. Where is operating Amazon, is operating Farfetch, is operating Unas, Namshi, and so yes, so Amazon is here. And Level Shoes from Dubai has a logistic point in the economic zone. So Amazon is here. And regarding what was it? Sasso. Yes, of course. This is a recurring question, which I know it's been a nightmare for some retailers in the past, but it's no longer like that. So Sasso now, it's of course it's a procedure that it still need to be filled and to be followed, but it's not strict as before. And there are ways to make it smooth. There are ways to make it work in a smooth way. And yes, I understand this is an issue now, especially with all the challenges that we are facing. I mean, worldwide regarding customs, tariffs, and what's going on in the world now. So I understand. But still, Sasso and the Sabre platform now, it's feasible. Of course, there are some requirements in terms of the quantities to be filled in the invoice, in terms of the invoice value. But yes, be reassured that it can be done in an easy and smooth way nowadays.
Thank you, Giovanni. After the webinar, we will send, together with the presentation and the application forms, also some information about Sasso. So you will have all the details and also some prices you have to pay for Sasso and so on. So you will get all the full details.
Ci sono altre domande?
No.
Probably there was one that raised the hand.
Yes, there was someone. Petra, I believe.
Petra.
So
Petra Bleibung.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm Petra.
Hi, Petra.
From the German Fashion Association. Our member companies are mostly small, medium-sized companies, fashion brands. And I also would like to ask about Sasso. You said it's easy nowadays to do it, but isn't it very expensive? Because it's really, I think it's really a trade barrier for our companies.
There are tariffs. There are tariffs depending on the on the quantity and on the value of the invoices. Yeah, but again, it's this is about of course you will check the tariffs, and it's about the strategy. It's about the strategy. I know it's an issue now worldwide, you know, in order to whether absorb the costs or pass it to the consumer. This is one of the main issue now, I think, everywhere. But judging on what's happening in the world, I mean, I would say that the Middle East now it's the list of the problems now. So it's probably now. I mean, before it used to be an issue here, I understand, but with the scenario now we're facing worldwide, I guess yes, what the companies are going to pay to enter the Saudi or the Emirates or the Qatar markets are going to be are going to be, you know, more affordable, I guess, than other countries. So this is also a reason to really, you know, check from close, you know, what is the reality of this emerging market now, because this is a new market that for several reasons, not just for the logistic now or Sasso or whatever, but of course the geopolitical situation now it's forcing to check for different market areas, which I mean, I can say without any doubt that Middle East and Saudi Arabia for sure, because Saudi Arabia is the biggest, so it's going to be the growth, the major growth rate. I mean, together with Dubai, Saudi Arabia will be really in the years to come the market to look at it with very close attention. So the B2B, it's really an opportunity. There are opportunities here. Of course, I'm not saying everything is easy, as you say. Of course, there are some challenges, and there will be some tariffs to pay. I'm not saying, but still, with all the opportunities and with what's going on here in terms of tourism opening, because you probably heard of the Red Sea, of NEOM, of the, you know, the great tourism opening that we are experiencing here, and all the giga projects. So I would say that in balancing the advantages and the disadvantages, I mean, I would say that advantages are way over. Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
But of course, I guess
think...
in the document that that honegger is going to share, I guess you will find any information regarding tariffs and regarding everything. So you can. So it's okay that every company, of course, it's dealing with its own business plan. Of course, that is including also tariffs and customs of operations. No, with no doubt.
Do you
Yeah.
think
Of
that
course,
there will
if I
be...
can add something, of course, it depends on the type of product and complexity of required testing. But someone asked me before the registration on Saber platform, and it costs like 500 SAR, which is 130 euro. So not much.
Yeah,
And
and
also the
also, yeah.
shipment, the certificate of conformity costs the same, 130 euro. So it's not that expensive.
Okay.
So roughly, Petra, the custom duties roughly for apparel, it's about 5%. For luxury, like no, not luxury, like leather. Okay, leather and premium leather, it can go to 10-12% when it's about, you know, like premium leather, you know, like alligator or whatever. So I can tell you roughly it's 5% if it's about textile and fabrics. and count like 10-12% for leather.
But it's not, do you think it's possible that they will change the system? No, not in the nearer future.
It's it can be. I mean, it's constantly, it's a work in progress. It's a new thing here in Saudi. They are dealing with a new scenario, and they are experiencing, like this kind of different kind of relationship in a business way with other countries. So yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, it's you will be updated for sure for anything, and it happens in the near future.
Okay, thank you very much. I like your optimism.
Thank you, Petra.
Silvia ha alzato. Silvia?
Please. Could you switch on your microphone, please, Silvia?
Sorry. Does it work now?
Yes.
Yes, it
Sorry,
is.
sorry. So if there is no further question in the chat, I would like to jump to the fair you presented, the Planet Fair. And maybe you can give us some further information or prospects concerning the number of exhibitors you expect, from which countries you expect them, how many visitors you expect, also something about their structure. I think you presented a floor plan with about 2,500 square meters, about for the fashion sector, including shoes and leather. So this is what you expect to implement in October. So of course it would be very interesting to know who will come. On the exhibitor side and on the visitor side, you said that there were already a couple of European associations from the shoes and leather sector, but also from the fashion sector interested. I would be very grateful. I think it's interesting for everybody here if you could go deeper into this. Maybe you also expect some local brands, but of course, please, maybe you can explain more on this issue.
Sure, of course. Thank you, Silvia. So if we want to talk about, let me say, numbers, so at the moment we have about 40 companies which already applied for a total amount of about 500 square meters. Some of them, if that could be interesting, are also from the textile sector. We have about 15 companies in the textile sector, and we also have an application which is coming, which is a name that I'm sure everybody knows among you, which is Wortmann. So they will participate in Saudi Lifestyle Week. And we have at the moment a prospect of about 160 companies more. So that means that we are finalizing the selling process with all these companies, which will confirm within the next 2 weeks. So we expect by the end of the month about 200 companies which will participate at Saudi Lifestyle Week. This is concerning the fashion sector, of course.
Thank you very much. Concerning the countries they come from, you mentioned a couple of EU countries, Western European countries. Maybe you can give us already some more data about this, because it's important, of course, if you exhibit what is your environment there.
Sure. So we have many companies coming from Europe, also some of them coming from Italy, and we still have some companies also coming from Germany. We have many Brazilian companies which are interested in the project, many Spain companies, and also companies from Portugal. Concerning then the textile sector, we have some really famous names here in Italy in the textile sector, like for example Successori Reda, or for example Ratti, which are very important names here.
Thank you very much. I see there is one further question in the chat, and maybe we can combine it with my last one, because it was very interesting to learn from your presentation that about half of the Saudi fashion market is in shoes and leather products. So this is quite a lot if we compare it to other countries, and the fashion figures to other countries. Shoes and leather goods are very important to the market, and if I understand it correctly, they will also they will also represent a larger share of the fair. There is one question concerning the product portfolio coming from Wendler. They say they are a supplier to the global apparel industry, and they're interested in the interlinings sector for special Saudi wear. But you can see it in the chat maybe. And they ask if your exhibition will be interesting also for them, because of course they're targeting a very special visitors group.
Giovanni, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I repeat the question. Yes.
Yeah, so it's about thobes, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Exactly.
It's about men's thobes. Yes, yes, yes. That's an important. It's still an important field of the fashion manufacturing here in Saudi Arabia, and there are still traditional. Of course, traditional. It's still it's still a basic garment here when it comes to men's. So we are prospecting the best manufacturing, like Lomar in Jeddah, which is the most important still traditional garment distributor for thobes. So yes, definitely we are prospecting traditional distributor and the manufacturer for men's thobes as well.
Thank you very much. But maybe you can also tell us something about this topic, the share of leather goods and shoes in the market, and how this will be represented at the fair. Because when I understood this correctly from your figures already given, you have already registrations for the fair from about 40 companies, 15 of them being from the textile fashion sector, and so I think it's about 25 from the leisure fashion sector. So if we compare these to the market shares of, more or less approximately half of the fashion sector in retail figures in Saudi Arabia is shoes and leather goods. So this will be, of course, representative. Am I right here? Because it's a quite large percentage.
Okay, of course, considering that as they use in the past, shoes and the bags were, let me say, the fashion items that are always visible when you have, let me say, the local dress. Of course, they have a huge impact. They have had a huge impact in the market. So that was the pictures until now. But at the moment, also the habits of women is going to change. I would like to involve also Giovanni in this conversation because he can gave to us some specific advice about which is, let me say, the freedom of the women to choose which kind of outfit and kind of dress now. So that could be nice and interesting because in this way we can understand that there is a huge potential also for fashion garment at the moment. So the figures that I show you before, is the pictures about how is the total revenue until now, but considering that we are going to create more and more multi-brands for fashion garment and fashion apparel, this perspective is going to change related to the topic that I would like that Giovanni go to in details about it, please.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, this is a crucial point indeed, and yeah, I was stressing before in the charts, you know, between about the contamination between the craftsmanship and the heritage of Saudi Arabia, and the contamination that they want to have with the international, with the modern, with the contemporary trends, because this is really what can be the X factor. And it's already is the X factor here in because it's really a definitive crossroads between the two cultures, and is the crash of cultures. It's the best we can have, because when I see the first time I came to Saudi Arabia at the end of 2021, when I was going in the malls, and then when I was walking the malls and I saw these beautiful young ladies, you know, that they were wearing their abayas, but still under the abayas, they were wearing as every teenager or every girl that has the same age in Europe or in US, and they're wearing heels and they're wearing leggings and they're wearing tops, you know, but and this is under the abaya, and this is under the headscarf. So it's about the contamination. It's about, and this is really what it makes so attractive and so potentially attractive the market here for foreign brands, for European brands, because they can mix their identity, they can mix their DNA with the tradition here, and here they're hungry to do that. They absolutely want to do that. They do that when they travel. They do that when they travel to Europe in the summer. You know, they are completely like citizens of the world, and like European. You know, when they go to the summer destination, Greece, Italy, or France, Spain, or whatever. And so yes. So this is the opportunity that has to be catched here in terms of having the perfect contamination and the perfect balance between European brands and between local habits, between local brands, because they need that. They need something trendy to wear under their abayas.
Thank you very much, Giovanni, for those
Thank you.
insights concerning the trends, and maybe also after the webinar, you will keep us updated concerning the fair and its structure and the exhibitor structure, because this will be, of course, very decisive for participants here, if they will go further into the topic of exhibiting perhaps themselves. Thank you also for making available to us the registration documents, and you mentioned some prices, and you mentioned also an early bird price.
Yes,
Until
there is an early
when
bird
will this be
price.
valid?
The early bird price, we can extend the deadline for you, as we have this meeting today, until the end of month of April. And just to be clear about the structure of the exhibition, you will find the chart that do exactly, let me say, the product category that we are involving and that we are promoting. We are talking about apparel, accessories, shoes, beachwear, and lingerie for men, women, and kids. And we have the textile as well. This is the fashion side. For what concerns the sportswear side, we are talking about apparel, accessories, and equipment. And for what concerns design, is related to the design accessories, home decoration, and so on. So this is just to give you a general pictures about the structures in terms of product category. Of course, the result of our sales process is reflected that we are, let me say, includes all the product categories. So there will be not just one focus on a specific segment. Our aim is cover the full range of product category that I mentioned to you before.
Thank you very much, Enrico. So is there
Thank you.
any further questions from the audience? Gibt's noch Fragen von Ihrer Seite? Bitte, jetzt haben Sie doch noch Gelegenheit. Everybody's overwhelmed. This was a lot of information, of course. So to somebody
one.
that no, it's only
Actually,
saying
there is
thank
one
you.
more question. There is one more question
One
in the
more,
chat.
please.
Yeah. Sven Klein.
Yeah.
Please, Sven. Do you think there will be relevant contacts from outside coming, or will be more local, domestic?
Of course, the acquisition in terms of visitors will be focused on Saudi market because we are talking about a country that is huge, like 1/3 of the whole European continent. So it could be quite enough. But in addition to the Saudi market, our acquisition will be extended also to the other GCC countries, so on the Emirates, on Qatar, and on Bahrain. I would like to add something that we will have also a strong communication campaign that will be followed by the first integrated communication agency in Saudi Arabia, that is Niche Arabia. Niche Arabia is the communication agency that all the Western brand in terms of lifestyle, cosmetics, fashion, and so on are used to select as their partner in communication when they need to communicate not only on the Saudi market, but also in all the GCC area. So we will cover, of course, all this area, but for what concerns the wholesale and specific talking about the multi-brand structures, let me say that the most important potentiality is in the kingdom, because if you check the figures about all the other countries of GCC, the wholesale and multi-brand stores are less diffused than in Saudi Arabia. So we did, of course, an analysis of this market, and we are going to pick up the right targets to introduce the international brand to all this demanding market. You're welcome.
No.
Ja, hier nochmal das Angebot im Chat für Sie. Sie können Ihre Fragen im Nachgang auch in deutscher Sprache an honegger schicken, gerne auch an uns. Wir werden, wie versprochen, im Nachgang die Präsentation von Honegger an Sie alle verteilen, den Preisüberblick natürlich auch zur Messe an Sie verteilen, gerne auch für weitere Informationen zur Verfügung stehen. Mitglieder können bei uns gerne jederzeit auch für einzelne Produkte die Marktentwicklung, auch die Erwartungen für die nächsten Jahre abfragen und auch Marktzugangsbedingungen für einzelne Produkte bei uns abfragen, falls das von Interesse ist. So, I give the word back to Honegger to close the meeting now. Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting and we were very pleased to have you here today and of course to continue contact with you. It is an exciting project and so it's a vibrant market and you can be assured that we will follow up very closely.
Thank you, Silvia. Thank you.
So, vielen Dank an alle für die Teilnahme und wie gesagt im Chat, wir bleiben zur Verfügung für jede Frage oder für alles. Wir sind da, einfach schreiben. Vielen Dank an alle und einen schönen Tag noch.
Thank you, everybody.
Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.
Schönen Tag.
Dankeschön, grazie, danke.
Thank you.
Grazie, tschüss.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.